you're not broken. Your life is likely not broken. Your mind and your body are not broken. Your struggling emotions do not have to be your normal. You just need a chance to get some real sleep. You just need a chance to really actually rest. And talking about the rest that we can only get when we have taken alcohol out of the picture. Welcome to the Shannon McCabe Show, where we break free from our drink-obsessed culture, challenge the myths around alcohol, and redefine sobriety as the empowering choice it truly is. I'm Shannon McCabe, sober coach, holistic nutritionist, and your guide to a life that feels better without booze. Whether you're newly sober, sober curious, or years into this journey, this podcast is here to give you the truth about alcohol, the tools to build lasting confidence, and the hope that a vibrant, fulfilling life is waiting for you on the other side. So grab your coffee or sparkling water and let's dive in. Hey you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Shannon McCabe Show. I want to thank you guys for being here. As always, thank you guys for all the notes I get over on Instagram. And a big thank you to those of you that have taken time to leave a rating, leave a review. I appreciate those so much, and not really just for my benefit, but because that helps other women that are struggling with their relationship with alcohol or trying to feel less alone in sobriety find the show. When you take a couple seconds to click the stars, to leave a short little review, that just tells all of these podcast platforms that you're finding value in the show. And then they're gonna put it out there for more women to find, which is the whole heart behind all of this. It's why I'm here. It's why I show up. It's why I share my story and share everything I've learned in hopes that more of you guys know that you're not alone if you're struggling with your drinking. You're not alone if you're newly sober, but it feels like everybody around you is still drinking. And you're not alone in wanting more for your life than what alcohol has given you up to this point. So thank you so much for listening, for liking, for rating, for leaving reviews, and for all the fun little check-ins that you guys send me over on Instagram. It just really makes my whole day to hear about how this is landing for you guys and how this is affecting you guys. I think when I checked earlier this week, we have listeners in like 43 countries now, which is just wild to me. Wild, but just amazing. So if anything, I hope that shows you how not alone you are. That it can feel sometimes like this journey is isolating and like we're maybe a minority, but this movement is growing and it's here to stay, you guys. More and more people are choosing sobriety because it just makes sense for a million big and small reasons. So today, what we're going to talk about is sleep, because this is such an interesting topic to me when it comes to drinking. This becomes a big deal when we first quit drinking because women want to know when is their sober sleep going to get better? Because we hear that like, oh my gosh, my sleep is amazing since I quit drinking, which is true. And it usually happens pretty quickly. But before we get to that point, I want to rewind. And really what I want to talk to you about quickly today is all of the ways that alcohol is wrecking your sleep, and then how that is showing up in your day-to-day life that you might not even realize. Because it's so easy for us to be really, really committed to our story of alcohol helps me relax at the end of the day. Alcohol helps relieve stress, and even alcohol helps me sleep. I can't fall asleep at night without 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 drinks. You guys, that was me for years. So as always, I'm not judging you. I am not at all trying to cast shame or guilt or anything if you really wholeheartedly right now believe that alcohol helps you sleep at night. But it is causing you a lot of harm and it is doing a lot of damage. And I hope that when you know these things, when you hear the things that I'm about to tell you, and start to maybe connect some dots in your life about how you're feeling physically, mentally, emotionally, and how you're drinking, whether it's every night or even just on weekends, you're going to begin to see how alcohol really is causing more problems for you than you maybe realized, and why you have so much to gain by cutting back, cutting it out, taking a break, even if you're not ready to say you want to quit forever, but taking a break. All of the information today is going to show you how alcohol is wrecking your sleep and what that looks like in your real day-to-day life, okay? So many of us women, whether you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter. So many of us wake up feeling exhausted, wake up with brain fog, different levels of anxiety, or we just feel off, right? Like we just don't feel like ourselves. Even if we have gotten what is maybe a good night's sleep, or we feel like it's been a good night's sleep, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, that is what we're talking about today. Because if you are feeling those things, if you're exhausted, brain fog, anxious, a whole host of other stuff that we're going to talk about, I want you to begin to see in a very non-judgmental and safe space how your drinking, whether it's every night, whether it's on weekends, is affecting your sleep. And then how that less than stellar sleep is impacting every other area of your life, okay? Because this is the first big truth you guys need to know. And this one was a hard pill for me to swallow when I first realized this on my own journey. But you guys, alcohol does not help you sleep, okay? Alcohol sedates you. Alcohol literally acts like an anesthetic because that's what it is. There is a really, really big difference between something helping you sleep and something sedating you or acting as an anesthetic, okay? So I want you to really try to understand that. And again, don't shoot the messenger, please. And don't even judge yourself. Don't judge yourself or shame yourself or feel guilty if you didn't know this up until now. Remember, my world, it is always a judgment-free zone. There is no need for shame here. We are getting open-minded. We are staying curious. We are taking in this new information so that we can use it to make better decisions moving forward. But so one of the first really powerful truths you need to know is that alcohol does not help you sleep. It sedates you. And there is a very big difference between those two things. And that's what we're going to start with today, okay? When alcohol sedates you at night, the impact of that lasts through that entire night of sleep. This disrupts your deep REM sleep. It causes a whole cascade of physical and emotional side effects that happen throughout the night and into the next day and even days afterwards. And this is why then we end up with kind of this mounting stack of physical and emotional symptoms and problems that we're really likely to blame on a million other things rather than what we maybe should be looking at first, which is alcohol, okay? But this is also why it's really encouraging to know that one of the first things that you will see improve and improve in really profound ways when you take a break from drinking, when you remove alcohol from your life, is your sleep, okay? Once you really understand what's happening behind the scenes, what's happening inside your brain and body, then we get to make a more empowered decision and it helps us feel better faster, okay? So I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off here, okay? You guys, we're going right into it. Alcohol knocks you out, but that is not the same as sleeping, okay? It is a sedative. It's not a sleep aid. It's a very important distinction, okay? You might fall asleep faster after you've been drinking, but that's because you are actually just passing out. Varying levels of passing out. You might not be like blackout drunk passing out, but alcohol is sedating you. It is acting as an anesthetic. You are passing out to some degree, which means you are not getting deep, restorative, healing sleep, okay? The rest that your brain and body depend on to keep you healthy, to keep you thriving, that can't happen when we have been sedated to sleep by alcohol, okay? So let's talk about some of these ways that alcohol wrecks your sleep, but more importantly, how that wrecked sleep shows up in your life so you can begin to really see how drinking is like trickling out to every area of your health and likely causing you problems that you maybe either didn't know were due to alcohol or just kind of haven't wanted to admit were due to alcohol, okay? So when we drink and it sedates us to sleep at night, one of the first things it does is block our REM sleep. This is the most important stage of sleep for our emotional and cognitive health. So basically for our brain health, okay? When we have less REM sleep at night, we have more mood swings, we have more memory issues, and we have more brain fog. So this right off the bat is why we will feel exhausted, even if we got 8 hours of sleep at night, or 7 hours of sleep at night, or even if we go to bed early or sleep late. If it is alcohol-induced sedative sleep, it is blocking our REM sleep, which is just making it impossible for our brain to do the things that it needs to do while we rest and then also the next day, okay? So more examples of how this shows up in your real life, meaning like what are the actual tangible ways? What are the mental and emotional signs of disrupted REM sleep? This is going to be things like increased anxiety and mood swings. You feel more emotionally reactive, more easily overwhelmed than you would otherwise, or maybe than you used to, okay? That the like wired but tired feeling kind of becomes your norm. It becomes your baseline operation, okay? Little things start to feel like a lot. Little things that shouldn't feel heavy, that shouldn't feel like a big deal, start to increasingly feel like more and more of a big deal. And this tendency actually gets worse over time. So this also will show up as your worsening memory, poor memory, more brain fog. So if you're struggling to remember conversations or appointments or struggling with just simple tasks, things feel harder than you think they should. Hitting that brain fog almost every day by midday or early afternoon. Learning new information or focusing on work, focusing on tasks that you know how to do, but they feel harder than they should. These are all ways that disrupted REM sleep because of alcohol shows up in our everyday life. So some more, you guys, if you're really, really irritable or have like that low frustration tolerance, right? You're snapping at your partner or your kids, even wanting to snap at your boss or coworkers. You feel less patient. You feel more on edge, even over small things, like tiny little things will set you off. If you find yourself often thinking or feeling that like everything just feels like too much, you guys, these are all signs of decreased brain function, essentially because of poor REM sleep because of alcohol use, okay? Another one is just a reduced emotional resilience, you guys. And what this means is like small stressors, things that shouldn't be that big of a deal, as like a really disproportionate emotional response, like being really set off by things that really should not be that big of a deal. Or you find it harder to bounce back from a hard day or a hard moment, a stressful situation. It lingers, it festers. You can't get your mind back on track. And just in general, like a greater sense of hopelessness or like a lack of motivation. That blah feeling becomes almost like a blanket that you feel like you're wearing all the time. It feels heavier. Now, I don't know about you guys, but like when I think about that list, when I'm making that list, when I'm writing this episode and thinking about it, you guys, all of those things, every single one of those things I just said basically describe what my life felt like the last few years that I was a drinker. But you know what's really interesting? And I mean, sad now, but interesting, is never once during that time did I consider that it was the wine or the vodka or anything else that was behind all of that. Nope, I never once considered that. Instead, I blamed my kids. I blamed the stress of motherhood. I blamed my job. I blamed my husband. I blamed my age and hormones and basically anything and everything else, except for the one thing that linked all of it together, which was drinking. By that point, I was a daily drinker, mostly daily drinker, 4 to 5 days a week. But you guys, even if you are only drinking on weekends, maybe you are drinking every night, but it's only one glass. You guys, all of these scenarios, alcohol is still impacting your sleep in a really, really profound way. And it's going to contribute to all of the things I just said. And I'm guessing that a decent amount of you are sitting there thinking, well, shit. Because yeah, I think through that list and I'm checking a lot of it off, and you might even feel a little defensive right now thinking, but it is my kids. It's really stressful to be a mom. It is my husband. We just don't see eye to eye anymore. It is my job. It is my age. I'm exhausted. I'm perimenopausal. I'm menopausal. We're struggling with fertility even, whatever it is, you guys. And I'm not saying that those things maybe are not also contributing to the emotional load that you're feeling. But if you're drinking to any degree on a regular basis, the alcohol really should be at the top of the list of the things that you're examining as to why you feel all of those ways. Because alcohol is derailing your sleep, and derailed sleep is going to negatively impact your life in all of those ways I just listed. And maybe you didn't know that until now, because I didn't know it for a long time. But then when I first started to learn this information, I had to connect these dots. And I was like, oh my God, how did I not know this? How did I not know that alcohol was behind the scenes doing all of this and making everything about my life feel harder? Because it was robbing me of the one thing that humans need. I mean, one of our top basic needs, right, is sleep, okay? What if you could finally break free from the constant cycle of drinking, quitting, bargaining with yourself, and actually build a life that feels calm and clear and deeply aligned with who you want to be? I created the alcohol-free blueprint for women who are ready to stop trying to moderate and start feeling confident and steady and fully present in their life again. This program isn't just about quitting drinking. It's about taking back your energy and your mindset and your wellness and your freedom. Inside the blueprint, I'll walk you step by step through the tools, mindset shifts, and support systems that actually help you change for good. You'll learn how to handle cravings, rebuild your habits, feel stronger in your body, and navigate all of life's ups and downs without alcohol. And you'll have full access to over 45 video lessons, journaling prompts, live coaching, and community support. So you never have to do this alone. One of my clients, let's call her Sarah, came to me after years of trying to control her drinking. She told me, I finally feel free. I'm not constantly thinking about drinking anymore. I have energy again, and I actually like myself. And that's just the kind of change we're after. Most of my clients are excited to no longer be a drinker after just 30 days inside the blueprint. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start living the life alcohol has been holding you back from, head to the link in the show notes or go find me over on Instagram. I would love to help you take this next step. So let's keep going now. Let's shift to talking about like the physical signs of what it looks like when this deep REM sleep is disrupted by alcohol, okay? So the first one, the most obvious, is when you feel exhausted. Even after getting a solid night's sleep, 7, 8, maybe even 9 hours, you still feel tired. You technically slept, but you still wake up feeling like unrested or heavy. You need caffeine to function. Not that you like coffee, not that you enjoy it, but you need it. And maybe your caffeine consumption is increasing, okay? Other ways it could show up is a weakened immune system, you guys. More frequent colds, a sluggish recovery from like minor illnesses, little things linger longer than they used to. Maybe it's more that your body feels bloated and more inflamed on a regular basis than it used to. It can also show up as an increased amount of pain and also an increased sensitivity to pain, okay? So things like body aches, joint pain, tension headaches, stress headaches, migraines, low back pain, all of this stuff, you guys. Not only is alcohol itself super inflammatory and is going to increase pain and inflammation, but then when alcohol robs you of the deep restorative sleep where your body heals and tries to address pain and inflammation, now you've got the double whammy. The alcohol is making the pain and inflammation worse, but alcohol is also making your body less able to recover and address and heal that pain and inflammation. Now, how about other things, you guys? Hormonal imbalances. I've talked about this on other episodes, you guys. This is such a huge thing for us women because hormones are tied to everything. The way we feel mentally and physically, the way we look, the energy we have, the thoughts we think, all of it. So alcohol disrupts hormones already because it affects our liver, it affects our digestion, it affects things like our thyroid and our pituitary and our adrenals and all of these other body systems that affect our hormones. But then, again, kind of a double whammy, alcohol wrecks our sleep, and then poor sleep has a negative impact on our hormones too. So again, it's coming at us from two different angles. It's not just the negative impact of alcohol itself on our hormones. It's that then when we're supposed to be getting a break, when we're supposed to be resting, when our body is supposed to have time and energy to focus on rest and repair and healing and recovery, it can't because it's still dealing with alcohol. So what does this look like then? This disrupted sleep affects things like our cortisol, which is the stress hormone, which as you age, women, when what people call like the menopause belly, that's cortisol. And it's 100% negatively impacted by alcohol, okay? Insulin resistance. So this could be another even double whammy. If you have any sort of blood sugar issues, insulin issues, it is all being made like doubly worse, basically, by alcohol. This also affects our estrogen balance. That can wreak havoc at any area of life, right? So whether you're younger and maybe dealing with fertility issues, it could just be PMS, what your periods feel like, perimenopause, menopause. Estrogen balance the issues are woven throughout our lifespan. Alcohol affects sleep. Negative sleep also affects our estrogen levels. And then it's just going to make all of the hormone issues we experience because of varying estrogen levels even worse, okay? So This also can show up in things like more sugar cravings, blood sugar swings up and down, which can affect our weight, and just fatigue, like just this kind of underlying, always present feeling lethargic. All right. This also really can be what I just touched on, you guys, saying like aggravated, like exasperated symptoms of PMS and or menopause. Okay. So the way alcohol, again, like I said, it already negatively impacts our liver, which our liver actually has a huge amount to do with our hormonal health. Not something that's talked about, but it's super true. So this is one of the first ways that alcohol really actually wrecks our hormones, is because it affects our liver so negatively. And then that affects our hormones. Then we're also talking about, like I said, thyroid, all of these other glands, organs that help balance our hormones, that keep us hormonally stable. How this can show up really just kind of depends on our age. If you're younger, it could be fertility issues. Fertility issues are, it seems like they're growing more and more by the year. So much of this is due to lifestyle, and so much of that is due to alcohol, okay? When we're also talking about like the symptoms of your period, of PMS, menstruation, and then moving into perimenopause and menopause, you guys, all of this is made worse by alcohol. And then it's made even worse by the way alcohol robs us of that deep sleep. So we get stuck in this loop of things never being able to resolve, never being able to heal, never being able to function the way that they're supposed to. Because every time we drink, we kind of are just resetting the vicious cycle and it's starting all over again. And then we stay stuck in it, okay? So another way, you guys, another big scary way that this poor REM sleep, because of alcohol, can affect us is that it absolutely puts us at an increased risk for things like cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, heart attacks, and even strokes. So if you're young, you might be thinking like, oh, I've got time. But you guys, that's not true. That's not the case. These habits are built when we're younger. And the older you get, the more pressing those things become. But seeing how alcohol disrupts our sleep at night can be really eye-opening and can be really scary. But when we think about all of these things I just listed, all of the ways that our body is negatively impacted by drinking, we don't need to let it scare us. It hopefully should motivate us, right? Knowledge is power. That's always been one of my favorite sayings. When you know better, you do better. So when we're learning all of these things and we're talking about all of these things, it can be like, holy crap, I didn't know all of this. But now that I do, I think I'm going to make some different decisions because of it. I know when I first started learning this stuff, that's one of the first things that I remember thinking, is kind of having this aha moment of like, oh my God, if I had known this stuff years ago when my girls were little and I was starting to turn to wine at the end of a hard day to relax, if I had known this laundry list of the ways that it was really negatively impacting my body, I would have made a different choice. But I didn't know these things because you know what? This is not what you hear and see on all of the commercials and the mommy needs wine reels and everything that shows this like romanticized glorification of booze is fun and it's sophisticated and it's carefree and it's like there's no worries when you're drinking. There's actually a lot to worry about. The good news is all of this stuff is reversible. We can heal. We can bounce back from this really powerfully, actually, once we get alcohol out of the way. And when we're talking about that heart stuff specifically, if you guys have been around and following me since the beginning of my journey, I think I even probably talked about this maybe in my very first episode when I told a little bit about my story. But one of the things that happened the last summer that I was drinking, I didn't have a big rock bottom moment per se, but I had a few small things that happened that summer that all kind of came together that led me to my day one. One of those things was the fact that I got an Apple Watch for the first time in that summer. So it was maybe like June of 2022. And I started wearing my watch all the time. And I got an app called AutoSleep that I started using to track my sleep. And immediately was confronted with the physical evidence of how hard my heart was working on the nights that I drank. I saw that on the nights that I was drinking, usually staying up until like midnight drinking, my average heart rate overnight while I was sleeping would be anywhere from like 72 to 75 beats per minute. Now, a quick Google search will tell you that is not good. It is not good at all. And it honestly scared the living shit out of me. I was like, oh my God, I'm probably have high blood pressure, first of all. And second of all, I'm going to like have a heart attack at the age of 44. Like It was terrifying, but it also, in an excruciating way, was kind of empowering because it was a way that I finally was really seeing the evidence that I hadn't before because we can't know stuff like that unless we're tracking it, right? And really quickly, as soon as I quit drinking in September of that year, within a week, you guys, I saw how at night my resting heart rate while I slept immediately dropped down to about 60 beats per minute. A normal healthy range, I think, for a woman my age was anywhere between like 45, maybe 45 and 60, 45 and 55, I'm not sure. But it was right away really powerful, tangible evidence. And that actually kept me going a lot in the early days when I was still trying to figure out how to work through cravings, when I was still finding my way as a woman who had relied on wine for years, knowing that it was helping me. Knowing that sobriety, not drinking, was helping me sleep better, knowing that it was pulling me out of that scary danger zone at being at increased risk of high blood pressure, heart attack, cardiovascular disease, all of this stuff. You guys, that's really motivating. It really helped me stay disciplined and wanting to be sober because it was giving me an insight into what was going on inside of me. And that's just one example, you guys. All the time I have conversations with people and hear people, whether you have an Apple Watch or you wear an Oura Ring or any of these other like fitness tracker things, you guys, pay attention to what's happening to your sleep on the nights that you drink. You guys, those insights don't lie. And again, don't look at them to induce shame or guilt, but rather let it be like a jumping off point. Let it be like part of your foundation of really saying, okay, I am going to make a different decision now. So you guys, if you have one of these devices and you're looking at that data, use it as inspiration, use it as motivation, use it to help turn that motivation into discipline and help you work through the temporary discomfort that you might feel when you first quit drinking. But I mean, most importantly, let it inspire you. Let it give you hope for like the positive changes that you could really experience soon if you take a step back from alcohol, because you're learning all of these new things. You're learning all of this stuff about how alcohol is actually really derailing your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, all of it. And this is what we need. This is what we need to like take in and hold close so that when we're confronted with all of the like BS glamorization of alcohol on social media, on TV, on movies, all of it, this is the truth. All of the stuff we're talking about here today is the truth. And we can use it to help us make better decisions and shift towards a life that is going to help us feel better without alcohol, okay? So now there's one more thing, you guys. I mean, I'm sure you maybe are like, really? Does there need to be more? But there does need to be more. Because, like I said, the more we know, or when you know better, we can do better, okay? When we all of this information, you guys, we use it to change our beliefs. And when we have changed beliefs, we change our behavior. And that is how we break free from this crappy controlling grip that alcohol has on us. So when we're talking about alcohol and sleep specifically, it should be no surprise that alcohol really throws off your circadian rhythm, okay? And your circadian rhythm is like our internal clock that tells us when it's time to sleep and when it's time to wake up. So alcohol messes with all of this because it messes with our melatonin production, the chemical that helps us fall asleep and stay asleep. It causes early morning cortisol spikes. So sometimes when your drinking is really bad, that's part of what wakes us up at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's also part of what then has us crashing at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because that rhythm, that natural rhythm that your body knows how to do inherently really gets hijacked by alcohol, okay? So when this rhythm gets disrupted over time, again, it messes up everything from our digestion to our hormones. Always hormones, you guys. It's always hormones. And it makes it harder for your body to actually get into any kind of natural flow, any kind of natural rhythm of its own to really achieve or maintain any of your health goals, whether we're talking about fitness goals, we're talking about weight goals, we're just talking about things like trying to stay motivated enough and having the energy for like going for a walk every day, to get your steps in and keep your heart healthy, to make good food choices. All of that gets derailed when this natural rhythm gets messed up by alcohol, okay? It's just so important for you guys to understand that good sleep is where our body heals. So this isn't just about like feeling rested. Like, yes, we want to feel rested. Our life functions better when we feel rested, right? Like we can show up more capable in our life when we're rested. But our body needs that rest to do the behind the scenes work that keeps us thriving and keeps us out of the danger zone as far as disease, okay? So when we're talking about our body detoxing and doing what it needs to do there, when we're talking about regulating hormones and things like cortisol and insulin and estrogen, when we're talking about maintaining our weight, when we're talking about repairing muscle and tissue, when we're talking about balancing our mood and emotions, balancing our metabolism, balancing our appetite, all of that happens when we sleep, you guys. So when alcohol disrupts that deep sleep, that deep restorative stage of sleep that our body relies on, even if it's just a few nights a week, even if it's just on weekends, it starts to show up on ways that you might not immediately connect that to drinking, but now you will. And now you know. Because waking up puffy and bloated, even after a light dinner, can be because of the drinks you had with that light dinner. Crashing at 3 p.m. and needing to reach for sugar or caffeine to push through is likely because of the drinks you had the night before. The increased irritability, the brain fog, the feeling like your emotions are all over the place and they're running the show. Like you're just hanging on for dear life, trying to keep up with whatever chaotic emotion is going to come out of you at the moment. Feeling like your hormones are all over the place, especially in perimenopause and menopause, but also especially if you're younger and dealing with fertility issues. But when we're talking about perimenopause and menopause, you guys, there are already very real changes that are taking place in our brain and in our body that impact things like our mood and our memory. Alcohol just makes all of that so much worse, so much more intense, so much more negative than it needs to be otherwise, okay? You guys, the bottom line is this, like our body wants to heal. Our body is designed to feel good most of the time. And when it doesn't, it's because we have done things that are interfering with its ability to heal and thrive. Getting really good sleep is part of that healing and thriving process. And alcohol just disrupts it every time, every single time, whether it's every night or it's just on weekends. So let's shift this then to the good news, right? The good news. What is one of the first things? What is one of the first benefits that women report after they quit drinking? And you guys, I'm here to tell you, it always goes something like this. It's some variation of, I didn't know how badly I was sleeping. I didn't know how bad things really were until I removed alcohol and started sleeping better and started to feel better. So how long does this usually take, you guys? Honestly, most of the time, maybe a couple weeks. A lot of women notice improvements within the first few nights. There might still be some waking up, but it's not like the heart pounding, head crushing, anxiety filled wake up that we're used to when we're drinking. Some women, it maybe takes a little bit longer because again, you guys, we're all different. Varying levels of what other health issues you have going on, what other lifestyle issues you have, those are all going to play into it, right? But what I experienced myself, what I see in my clients over and over and over again, is that for most women, I'd say about 90% of women, by the end of their second week, alcohol-free, meaning 14 days, women are shocked at how much better they're sleeping and then the ripple effect that that is having on the rest of their day and the rest of their life. Because even if they're waking up a couple of times a night still, when they are sleeping, they are actually getting sleep. Their body is actually doing all of that restorative healing that it wants to be doing because it's not just processing alcohol and trying to get rid of alcohol. Because remember that, you guys, whenever alcohol's around, that is always going to be the top priority because it is so toxic to the human body. Your body is trying to get rid of it. And even if you didn't drink on a certain night, if you drank 3 days ago, your body is still reeling from that and still trying to get rid of it, which is often why, yes, we will start to feel better. We will start to see improvements on sleep, day 3, day 5, day 7, but it really kicks in after the first week. Once alcohol has finally been able to get out of our system and we've cleared it and gotten rid of it, okay? Those first few days, that first week, though, the improvements, you guys, they're real and they're tangible and they're inspiring because right away you're going to notice clearer skin, clearer eyes. That's always one of the first things that women notice. And it's so empowering and honestly exciting when we see like just the fogginess and the lack of light leave our eyes and we see how truly clear these windows to our soul can be when we have not been drinking. Often right away too, women report things like more mental clarity, less brain fog, more energy, more patience, less reactive, less of that emotional roller coaster, better digestion, bloating goes down, fewer aches and pains. We start to experience all of this as soon as our body is actually getting the sleep that it needs to get, okay? Because what happens for so many of us, you guys, is that we have normalized our crappy sleep because it's been that way for so long. And because it happened slowly, as our drinking slowly ramps up, we're slowly normalizing all of these little compromises we're making, all of these little compromises in our sleep. So we aren't really truly aware of how bad it's gotten until we take alcohol out of the picture. And then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe how much better I feel. I didn't know how crappy my sleep had really gotten as a result of my drinking. So friends, this conversation matters, you guys. I love talking about this. I want to talk about this because it's really super likely that if you're like me, if you're like most women, most of the women I work with, that you have been blaming things like your hormones or your demanding kids or your husband or your job, or your age, or your stress for why you are exhausted, why you are short-tempered, why you're overwhelmed. But it's really probably time to just take a closer look at your drinking. You're not broken. Your life is likely not broken. Your mind and your body are not broken. Your struggling emotions do not have to be your normal. You just need a chance to get some real sleep. You just need a chance to really actually rest. And talking about the rest that we can only get when we have taken alcohol out of the picture, okay? So whether you are drinking daily, whether it's a bottle of wine or only a glass of wine, or whether you are even only drinking on weekends, you deserve to know how much better you can feel when you get alcohol out of the way so that your body can really, truly rest and heal and thrive, okay? And this can happen quickly, you guys. And don't underestimate that positive ripple effect that better sleep can have on your life. When you wake up feeling better, your whole mood, your whole outlook for the day is better. You are a better version of yourself for you, for the people you love, for the job you do, for your community, for everything. That ripple effect, it just can't be underestimated. And it's one of the most beautiful and empowering things that we get to experience when we first quit drinking. Because it's easy for us to get so caught up in the like, oh, but how will I do game night with the neighbors? And how will I do vacation? But really, let's think about like how much better could your day-to-day life be if you are not frazzled and impatient and overwhelmed and snapping at everybody and exhausted? Like let's talk about that instead. Let's think about that. That's what I'm inviting you to do with this conversation, okay? So if this really sparks something in you and you're ready to give this a try, you guys, this is what we do in the Blueprint. I walk you through this day by day. We talk even more about sleep. We go deeper into sleep to help you prepare for removing alcohol from your life, to help you really hone in and get a better bedtime routine so that you're setting yourself up to repair your sleep and sleep better as soon as possible in your alcohol-free journey. Check out the show notes, check out the link, shoot me a message on Instagram if you have any questions about it. But you guys, I experience this myself. I see it in women every day inside the Blueprint. You cannot underestimate how life-changing it can be when you start to sleep better and feel better because you remove alcohol from your life. It's just so good. So thanks for hanging with me today, you guys. I would love to hear how this lands for you, what resonated, maybe even what triggered you a little bit. Don't ever hesitate to drop me a message, send me an email, shoot me a DM over on Instagram, and I'll be back next week. Make it a good one, you guys. That's it for today's episode. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you're loving the show, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a quick review. It helps others find this message and start their own journey to freedom. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep believing in what's possible, and remember, you are so much stronger than you think.